Sattvam Dharma Jnana Vairagya Varyadi Asta Maha Siddhi Palakshana Vishwaksenadihi Swaparasad Prabhare Parivarit Nija Varayut Pashobhitair Nijabhoj Dande Sandharayamanas Tasmin Girivare Samanta Sakalaloka Swastaya Aste. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of all transcendental opulences and the master of the spiritual sky. He is the Supreme Person, Bhagavan, the super soul of everyone. The demigods, led by Indra, the king of heaven, are entrusted with seeing to the affairs of the material world, to benefit all the living beings and all the varied planets, and to increase the power of those elephants and of the demigods. The Lord manifests himself on top of that mountain in a spiritual body, uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, surrounded by his personal expansions and assistants like Vishwaksena. He exhibits all perfect opulences, such as religion and knowledge, and as mystic powers, such as Anima, Lagima, Mahima. He is beautifully situated, and he is decorated with different weapons in his four hands. So I believe that mountain refers to Loka Loka mountains, because this verse, the description comes, and these four elements, elephants are situated on top of the Loka Loka mountains, and they are responsible for maintaining the various planets in the universe. How they maintain, what is the responsibility, how they enact, those details are not revealed to us. But what is revealed to us is that they derive their strength and power from the Supreme God. That is why, to help the devotees, the demigods, these elephants, to be able to carry out their services, the Lord personally manifests himself. So we can see that whenever devotees uh, take a stride forward to serve in the mission of the Lord personally empowers them, and the Lord personally blesses them. So here the Lord is personally empowering, and the Lord is personally present uh, to empower them, just because they are embarking on the spiritual mission of the Supreme God. Just because they are ready to embark on the spiritual mission of the Supreme God. So, this is the nature of the spiritual mission. How glorious is the spiritual mission, that one who is embarking on the spiritual mission, the Lord personally manifests, the Lord personally comes and empowers. And that is why there is no greater fortune in this world than to be able to get an opportunity to assist in the spiritual mission of the Lord. So there is no easier way to get the association of the Lord. That's the point. There is no easier way to get the association of the Lord. There is no easier way to get the blessings of the Supreme Lord. Only when one starts embarking, one makes himself available for the mission of the Lord. An insurmountable oceanic mercy is available for such a living. Let's read further. Text 41. Akalpam evam vesham gata esha bhagavan atma yogamaya virachita vividhalokayatra gopi yadeti artha. The various forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such as Narayan and Vishnu, are beautifully decorated with different weapons. The Lord exhibits those forms to maintain all the varied planets created by His personal potency. Yogamaya. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita 4.6, Lord Krishna says, Sambhavami Atmamaya, I appear by my internal potency. The word Atmamaya refers to the Lord's personal potency, Yogamaya. After creating both the material world and the spiritual world through the Yogamaya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally maintains them by expanding himself in different categories of the Vishnumurtis and the demigods. He maintains the material creation from the beginning to end, and he personally maintains the spiritual world. We can see the supreme responsible nature of the Supreme Personality. The Lord not only maintains a spiritual world, but here it is so clearly explicitly explained that the Lord maintains the material world. The living entities are different malfunctional units of the Supreme Lord. It's like if you have a position and it malfunctions, you may throw it off, reject it off. The Supreme Lord still maintains them, tries to repair. Although the material world is the most antagonistic, people are the most antagonistic to the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord still maintains them. Most responsible. Krishna is most responsible, most loving. यो अंतर्विस्तार एतेन आलोक परिमाणं च व्याख्यातं यत् बहिर्लोकलोकाचलात् तथा परस्ताद् योगेश्वर गतिं विशुद्धम् उदाहरन्ति. My dear king, outside the Loka mountain is a tract of land which is known as Aloka Varsha, which extends for the same breadth as the area within the mountain. In other words, 1 billion miles. So 0.125 billion yojanas or 1 billion miles. Beyond Aloka Varsha is the destination of those who aspire for liberation from the material world. It is beyond the jurisdiction of the material modes of nature and therefore it is completely pure. Lord Krishna took Arjuna through this place to bring back the sons of the Brahmana. So 1 billion miles is the area within Loka, and then after that Aloka. That's what gives the radius of the universe as 2 billion miles. Andamadhyagata Suryo Dvavabhu Abhum Yoryadanta Suryanda Golayor Madhye Kotyasu Panchavamshitahi. The sun is situated vertically in the middle of the universe, in the area between the Bhurloka and the Bhuvarloka, which is called Antariksha, outer space. The distance between the sun and the circumference of the universe is 25 koti yojanas, which is 2 billion miles. That's the distance between the sun and the circumference of the universe, 2 billion miles. The sun is 4 billion miles away from us. Because 2 billion miles is this. The word koti means 10 million. Yojana means 8 miles. The diameter of the universe is 50 koti yojanas, which is 4 billion miles. So 2 million is the radius. Therefore, the sun is in the middle of the universe. The distance between the sun and the edge of the universe is 25 koti yojanas, which is 2 billion miles. 2 billions from sun to the universe, and 2 billion is the universe in radii. So, and it's electrical. हृदयन्न एष एतस्मिन् यद् अभूत् ततो मारतण्ड इति व्यापदेश. हिरण्यगर्भ इति यद् हिरण्यान्ध समुद्भव. The sun god is also known as Vairaja, the total material body for all the living entities. Because he entered this dull egg of the universe at the time of creation. He is also called Martanda. He is also known as Hiranyagarbha because he received his material body from Hiranyagarbha, which is Lord Brahma. The post of Lord Brahma is meant for highly elevated, spiritually advanced living entities. When such living beings are unavailable, Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, expands himself as Lord Brahma. This takes place very rarely. Consequently, there are two kinds of Brahmas. Sometimes Brahma is an ordinary living entity, and other time Brahma is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Brahma spoken of here is an ordinary living being. Whether Brahma is the Supreme Personality of Godhead or an ordinary living being, he is known as Vairaja Brahma and Hiranyagarbha Brahma. Therefore, the sun god is also accepted as Vairaja Brahma. We can see an important point from here that you see service is only given to a very responsible and trustworthy devotee of the Lord. Unless we earn the trust of the acharyas and the devotees, tangible service will not be given to us. So the fact that seva is being given is a great privilege because even the opportunity to come and serve is rare. So here we can see that although there may be innumerable living entities, sometimes the Lord doesn't appoint anybody as Brahmaji because nobody is qualified enough. So Lord himself does it. Krishna can do himself everything. So when does he entrust other devotees in the service? Only when he sees qualifications. Only when the Lord sees qualifications. So by our dedication, we need to earn the trust of the devotees, the acharyas. Because unless we do that, we won't receive tangible service. And unless that happens, the fixity in Krishna consciousness will not take place. The fixity in Krishna consciousness will not take place. That is the point. Let's read further. Text 45. सूर्येण हि विभाजयन्ति दिशाखं द्वौर्महीरिदा स्वर्गापवर्गो नरका रसौ कांसि च सर्वशः Okay. The sun god and the sun planet divide all the directions of the universe. It is only because of the presence of the sun that we can understand what is the sky, that we can understand what the sky, the higher planets, this world, and the lower planets are. It is also only because of the sun that we can understand which places are for material enjoyment and which are for liberation, which are hellish and subterranean. So in the material world, because of the presence of the sun, we can understand higher planets, lower planets, this world, sky. That is why Krishna is compared to as the sun. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya. So why? Because one knows Krishna, such a person is able to discriminate between anything and everything. One who doesn't know Krishna, such a person is confused, completely bewildered. No discrimination power to discriminate between anything. Text 46. Devatiriyam Manushyanam Sarishripa Saviruddham Sarvajiva Nikayanam Surya Atmadrigeshwaraha. All the living entities, including the demigods, human beings, animals, birds, insects, reptiles, creepers, trees, depend upon the heat and light. Even by the sun god from the sun planet. Furthermore, it is because of the sun's presence that all living entities can see, and therefore he is called Drigeshwaraha. the personality of Godhead presiding over sight. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Surya Atma Atmat Veno Pashyaha. The actual life and soul of all the living entities within this universe is the sun. He is therefore Upasya, worshipable. We worship the sun god by chanting the Gayatri mantra Om Bhu Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Parenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimani. Surya is the life and soul of this universe, and there are innumerable universes for which a sun god is a life and soul, just as the supreme personality of Godhead is the life and soul of the entire creation. We have information that Vairaja Hiranyagarbha entered the great dull material globe called the sun. This indicates that the theory held by the so-called scientists that no one lives there is wrong. Bhagavad Gita also says that Krishna finally instructed Bhagavad Gita to the sun god. Imam vivaspate yogan proktavana adhyayam. Therefore, the sun is not vacant. It is inhabited by the living entities, and the predominating deity is Vairaja or Vivaswan. The difference between the sun and the earth is that sun is a fiery planet, but everyone there has a suitable body and can live there without difficulty. Thus ends the Bhakti on the purports of the 5th canto, 28th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Studying the Structure of the Universe. Yeah. So here, as Prabhupada explains, because the sun god is coming from Lord Brahma and sun god are given the same kind of nomenclature or the same kind of address. So what is being addressed for one, it applies for the other. Because Brahma is the source of sun god, anyways. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada does explain, emphasizing the Vedic mandate that the living entity, the jiva is sarvagataha, everywhere. So therefore in the sun also. But their bodies are suitably adapted. Prabhupada explains that the residents of the sun planet, their bodies have fire as the main element of the body. Just like our body has earth as the main element. The main outer element is the earth. Although inside there is 70% water, but the main shell is made up of earth. Similarly, in the sun, the main shell will be made up of fire. So for them, staying there will not be a problem. Okay, so we'll start the 21st chapter, which is entitled as The Movements of the Sun. Shri Shukavacha Etavane Bhubhu Valayasya Sannivesha Pramana Lakshanato Vyakyata. My dear king, I have thus far described the diameter of the universe, 50 learned scholars. एतेन हि दिवमण्डलमानं तद्विद उपदिशन्ति यतः द्विदलयोर्निष्पावदीनं ते अन्तरेणान्तरिक्षं तदुभयासन्निहितम्. As a grain of wheat is divided into two parts, and one can estimate the size of the upper part by knowing that of the lower, so expert geographers instruct that one can understand the measurements of the upper part of the universe by knowing those of the lower part. So the sky between the earthly sphere and the heavenly sphere is called as Antariksha or outer space. It adjoins the top of the sphere of the earth and the bottom of that of the heaven. In a similar context, Prabhupada explains that being in this material world, one can understand or get a glimpse of the spiritual world. Because everything which is present in the material world is present in the spiritual world. Only thing is, in the material world it is perverted, in the spiritual world it is pure. And that is where one can understand by observation that why we belong to the spiritual world. Because our hankering is for everything pure. In perversion, we are in pain. Yes, we are in pain. Yeah. Yeah, when we taste the perverted refuse of this material world, then there is a lot of misery we get. So we are not meant for perversion, we are meant for the pure. So material world is the perverted, the spiritual world is the pure, and we are meant for the pure. Because in perverted, we are most miserable. So that goes to show we are not meant for this world. Let's read further. Text 3. यन्मध्यगतो भगवतां स्तपतं प्रतिस्तपान आतपेन त्रिलोकिं प्रतपति अवभासयति आत्मभाष्य स एव उदागयन् दक्षिणा दक्षिणयान वै सुवात समग्नभीर मन्द्य सैक्रिय समन्नभीर्गतिभीरारोहण समानस्थानेषु यथा सनानाम्. अभिपद्यमानो मकरदिशो राशिषु आहोरात्राणि दीर्घा ह्रस्व समनानि विहाते. In the midst of that region of outer space, that is Antariksha, is the most opulent sun, the king of all planets, that emanate heat. Is the most opulent sun, the king of all planets that emanate heat, such as the moon. By the influence of its radiation, the sun heats the universe and maintains its proper order. It also gives light to the living entities to see. While passing towards the north, towards the south, or through the equator, in accordance with the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is said to move slowly, swiftly, or moderately. According to its movements in rising above, going beneath, or passing through the equator, and corresponding coming in touch with various signs of the zodiac headed by Makara, days and night are short, long, or equal to one another. Purport. Lord Brahma says in Brahma Samhita, Yachaksuresh Savita Sakala Grahana Raja Samasta Suramurtirashesh Teja Yasyajnaya Brahmati Samvrita Kala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham तमहं भजामि. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose control even the sun, which is considered to be the eye of the Lord, rotates within the fixed orbit of eternal time. The sun is the king of all planetary systems and has unlimited potency in heat and light. See, although the sun is being described as Bhagavan, the most powerful, and although it is actually the most powerful planet within the universe, it nonetheless has to carry out the orders of Lord Govinda Krishna. The sun god cannot deviate even an inch from the orbit designated to him. Therefore, in every sphere of life, the supreme order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is carried out. The entire material nature carries out his orders. Therefore, we foolishly see Therefore, in every sphere of life, the supreme order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is carried out. The entire material nature carries out his orders. However, we foolishly see the activities of material nature without understanding the supreme order and the supreme person behind them. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Adhyakshina Prakriti, material nature carries out the orders of the Lord, and thus everything is maintained in an orderly way. Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing on this fact that how everything in this material nature is being executed, or the material world is being executed by the order of the Supreme Personality of God. So Prabhupada is explaining that every planet is given an orbit, they do not budge from their orbit. It is the Supreme Lord who is arranging all that. So, because material nature perfectly follows the orders of the Supreme Lord, therefore we see material nature as functioning. Whenever mankind goes away from the order of the Supreme Lord, everything disintegrates. So, to upkeep anything in life, what is required is to sincerely follow the orders of the Supreme Personality of God. That is the ultimate good for us. And if you don't, everything will disintegrate. Let's read further. Yes. Now, I don't know whether it is mentioned that the universe is forever expanding and forever contracting. The universe expands because the bubbles expand. But do they expand forever? I don't know whether there is a reference to that. No, the ending of the universe will be in a moment. So, according to my understanding, the universe only expands at the time of creation. After that, it is not expanding. And only when the dissolution takes place, then the universes will go to the body of the Lord. The universe is constantly expanding forever, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be, unless there is a clear reference in Bhagavatam. Yes. So, yes. So, modern science is limited in its understanding of the universe, quite blind and inaccurate in its understanding of the universe. So, therefore, what reference they are taking and what they are talking about, they're simply shooting arrows in the darkness. That's all. So, now I don't know. You can check out. Is there any specific verse which says that the universe is forever expanding? Universes expand. You know, they come out from the pores of Vishnu. They expand for some time. Does it expand forever? I don't know. I don't know. So if the Shastras are mentioning it, so be it. If they don't mention it, so be it not. No, it's like that. Yes. Vikram Bandhu Proof Inte. Vikram Bandhu Proof Inte. I forgot to tell him yesterday. You can take on the spot whatever he likes. No, this universe is the Garbha, the Anda. It is explained here that Loka is containing everything. Its radius is 2 billion miles, and after that it's 2 billion miles. So the what we call it as universe after that is Aloka. So the whole thing is 4 billion miles radius, 8 billion miles dia. The universe can be within Loka or the universe can be the whole thing. So 2 billion miles the sun from the shell of the universe. That is what is explained here. That's what is explained here. 1 billion is this Loka, and 1 billion is like that, and 2 billion is the sun. So this is 2 billion into 2, this is 4 billion. So what is called as universe is because after Aloka there is Brahmajyoti. That is what is being described here. So that's how the radius of the universe is being described here. What? What is that? Who says solar system is trillion miles? Does physics say or this our solar system trillion miles? So we don't know what reference they are talking about like that. See, to is not my research area. If you want to speak about mind and consciousness, I can explain any question. You know? So So to be able to compare anything, we need to have thorough knowledge of what the scientists are saying, thorough knowledge of what Bhagavatam is saying, you know, and in its totality with the references of acharyas, and then one can compare and explain. There are some devotees like Pavaneshwar who are doing research, PhD into this, and last 10 years they are, not 10, 15 years they are into this only. Probably they will be able to better talk about it. But one thing is, modern day physicists simply resort to guesswork. Blind guesswork, which is an unprepared fellow giving an exam. That is what they are doing. And then on the basis of imagination, they are conjecturing. They have absolute zero knowledge of where the causal factors behind the universe, and they are speaking about it. So they don't have the authority to speak anything about it. They can call it as fiction. They call it as physics. That is the unfortunate. They can call it a story, bedtime stories for children. Because it is nothing more than fiction. But unfortunately, they call it as not the reality, the barometer of reality, and all that. So that's cheating. That is where Prabhupada was strong against that. They don't have authority to speak about the universe. What do they know about the universe? Where does the universe come from? X4. See, to be able to understand what these people are talking about, not just the result is not enough. We have to go back into the history, how they have come up to this. Okay, what was the first publication, and then what methodology they have used, and on what they have built it and come up to this. Then we'll be able to understand what reference they are speaking about. Here we can learn what Bhagavatam's reference point of view. When Bhagavatam is talking about the so anyways, what is being described here is just the planetary systems that spans 4 billion miles. That is what is being explained here. So the reference you have to be very clear about. 4 billion is the planetary systems, 2 billion miles. And then 2 billion miles from there is the sun. And the sun is well within the stem of the lotus. So the sun is between the Bhu and the Bhuvar Loka. In the middle of it, vertically, it is situated. That's what is being described here. So this is all within the stem of the lotus, of the lotus flower. So that reference has to be understood. It's just within the stem of the lotus. The anda, the Brahmanda, which is being described, which has these 8 layers, that is very big, bigger than this. It's bigger than this. The Brahmanda. So this is the planetary system, span of the planetary system which is being explained. Its distance from us to the sun is 4 billion miles. That is what this calculation is saying. And the expanse of so and the expanse of the planetary system is 2 billion miles radii, 4 billion miles dia, 2 billion miles. That means there is no habitation outside of it because that is antariksha. We call it as outer space. But what is that outer space? That outer space is just the space. It is all within the stem of the lotus. So and then from there to sun, and then sun to the actual layer of the lotus, how much it is, we don't know. That's not explained. The major part of the Brahmanda is beyond the lotus. The lotus only occupies a small portion of the Brahmanda. Half the portion is the ocean, Garbhodak ocean. Half the portion is filled with the Garbhodak ocean. So we need to be very specific about references here, and therefore unless we speak references, results don't make any sense. A reference and methodology by which the understanding is being understood. So when it comes to modern science, I feel more important is to understand how they infer what they infer. So how they infer what they infer. यदमेषा तुलयोर्वर्तते तदहो रात्राणि समनानि भवन्ति यदा वृषभादिषु पञ्चषु चराशिषु चरते तदहानि एव वर्धन्ते वसते च मासि मासि एकैक घटिकरात्रिषु. So just like any living being can claim any tract of land to be his own, but who is the owner of what portion of the land? Only the government records can tell. Similarly, anybody can claim anything to be anything, but we have to refer to the government record. That is Bhagavatam. What is actually what? That's why we refer to Bhagavatam. When the sun passes through Mesha, Aries, and Tula, that is Libra, the duration of the day and night are equal. When it passes through the five signs headed by Vrishabha, Taurus, the duration of the day increases until Cancer and then it gradually decreases by half an hour each month until day and night again become equal in Libra. Four, fifth, X5. यदा वृश्चिकादिषु पंचषु वर्तते तदहो रात्राणि विपर्ययानि भवन्ति. When the sun passes through the five signs beginning with Vrishchika, Scorpio, the duration of the day decreases until Capricorn. And gradually it decreases month after month until day and night become equal in Aries. Aries is the month of April, right? Yeah, so these constellations are actually distributed 360 degrees and the sun is moving around the Loka. It is said that the sun is moving around, the sun goes 360 degrees. Because the sun is moving around 360 degrees, therefore the amount of light we are getting, the days and nights keep changing. So basically these rashis are a description of the coordinates of where, the rotatory coordinates of where the sun is. So if we say r theta phi, it is simply talking about theta, where exactly the sun is. That's what I understand. Oh, that he wrote when he was a teenager. यावद् दक्षिणायनम् आहने वर्धन्ते यावत् उदागायनं रात्रयः. Until the sun travels to the south, the day grows longer, and until it travels to the north, the night grows longer. Yeah, that is exactly what is happening. X7. एवं नावकोटाय एक पञ्चचाशल्लक्षणे योजना मनसोत्तरार्गिरिपरिवर्तनास्योपदिश्यन्ति तस्मिन्नैन्द्रिय पुरीं पूर्वस्मान् मेरुर्देवधानीं नाम दक्षिणातो यामयम् संयमानिं नाम पश्चात् वारुणीं निम्लोचनीं नाम उत्तरतः सौम्यं विभावरीं नाम काशोदय मध्याह्नस्तमाय निशिथानीति भूतानां प्रवृत्तिनिवृत्ति निमित्तानि समाय विशेषेण मेरोश्चतुर्दिशाम्. Sukadeva Goswami continued, my dear king, as stated before, the learned say that the sun travels over all sides of Manasottara mountain in a circle whose length is 7.6 billion, huh? No, 0.76 billion miles. Oh, the sun is not over Loka Loka also, it is over Manasotara. Manasotara is way inside. Manasotara is way inside. Manasotara is not Loka Loka also, it's halfway inside. Hmm? Hmm. Because Loka Loka is 2 billion, no? 1 billion. 1 billion. This is 0.76. So Manasotara is inside. Manasotara was the last planet, I think. Manasotara is the last one. What was the last one? Plakshadeepa. The beginning of the last one, actually. Plakshadeepa. And after that, there was this. After that, there was this metallic golden earth, golden ground, which where nobody inhabits. It's a huge area, and after that, Loka Loka comes. So before that, Manasotara is there, the last planetary, the last division of. That is where Manasotara comes. So it's 0.76, whereas this is 1 billion. This is at 3/4, 3/4. So that golden tract of land is also shining. Then Loka Loka comes. So and that radius is also huge. On Manasutara mountain, due east of Mount Sumeru, is a place known as Devadhani, possessed by King Indra. Similarly, in the south is a place known as Samyamani, possessed by Yamaraj. In the west, there is a place known as Nimlochani, possessed by Varuna. And in the north, there is a place called as Vibhavari, possessed by the moon god. Sunrise, midday, sunset, midnight occur in all those places according to specific timings. Thus, engaging all living entities in their various occupational duties and also making them cease such duties. So, Manasutara, all these, so Indra, Maharaj Indra, Yamaraj, Varuna, and moon gods, Soma, they have the residence there. Yeah. तत्र ध्यानं दिविषा मध्याङ्गत एव सा साद आदित्यास्तपति सव्येनाचलं दक्षिणेन करोति यत्रुदेति तस्यः समान सूत्रनिपटे निम्लोचति यत्र क्वच स्वदेनाभितपति तस्य हैष समानसूत्रनिपते प्रस्वापयति तत्र गतं न पश्यन्ति एतं समानुपश्येरन्. The living entities residing on the Simure mountain are always very warm, as at midday, because for them the sun is always overhead. Although the sun moves counterclockwise, facing the constellations with Sumeru mountain on the left, it also moves clockwise and appears to have the mountain on the right because it is influenced by the Dakshinavarta wind. People living in countries at poles diametrically opposite to where the sun is first seen rising will see the sun setting. And if a straight line were drawn from the point where the sun is at midday, the people in countries at the opposite end of the line would be experiencing midnight. Similarly, if people residing where the sun is setting were to go to countries diametrically opposite, they would not see the sun in the same condition.
Probably in the previous word that Sanyamyami in Sanskrit is written as Sanyami. Sanyam.
Yeah, so the living entities in Sumeru are always warm.
And Yamraj is speaking as to be Sanyam.
Now, this is basically talking about the reference system. So, actually, the sun is moving counterclockwise with Sumeru on the left, but when we are seeing that from one point we see one direction, other point we will see the other direction. That's all that is being spoken about.
This one is very simple and straight. We're talking about the globe because, like, we are sitting here, and if we go to the opposite place, then it's totally on. It should be particularly like that.
No, so he's saying the sun is moving, appears to be moving, also appears to move clockwise.
First part is the
So from one side reference you will see it is moving counterclockwise, the other side reference you will see it is moving clockwise. That's what it means to have the mountain on the right because it is influenced by. So it all depends on what reference we are seeing. We are seeing without the no, outside of everything, then it is moving counterclockwise. Sumeru on the left, always. But if seeing from another reference, then
realization from such complex parts and possibilities. I think I guess they're very
yeah, that's true. यदा चेन्द्रयः पूर्य प्रचलते पञ्चादशाघाटिकभिर्यं यं सपादकोटिद्वयं योजनानां शारदा द्वादशलक्षणि साधिकानि चोपयति. When the sun travels from Devadhani to Samyamani, it travels 0.2 billion miles in 6 hours. The distance indicated by the word Sadhikani is Panchavimsati. Sahasradhikani 25,000 Panchavimshati Sahasradhikani 25,000 yojanas. That plus 2.5 crores and 12.5 lakhs of yojanas is the distance the sun travels between each of the two cities. This comes to 0.19 billion miles. The total orbit of the Sun is 4 times 6 into 4 is 24. Yeah, so how does the so it is interesting to see how does the movements of the sun correlate with the rotation and revolution of the earth, what we keep learning in geography. That's an interesting subject matter to go meditate upon. No? So how do the two correlate? But here there are clearly we can see two types of motions of the sun. One is equivalent. There are two types of motion of the sun. When the motion of Manasutra is being talking about, then it's a day and night sequence which is being talked about. Uh, and when the nakshatras are being talked about, then it is the seasons which are being talked about. Therefore, Prabhupada mentioned one thing, that any model of Vedic cosmology, which we make. So now what is there is that the problem in the modeling of Vedic cosmology is what the full details are not there, because this is not a cosmology scripture. This is a Bhagavatam, no. So there is just reference and mention that a little bit reference is there to just highlight the aspect of that how the Lord is so glorious. Now from those references here and there, it's like some dots here, some dots there. The whole picture the devotees have to make on their own, which is again inferencing. Uh, but Prabhupada said any inferencing model should explain the day and night, the seasons, should be able to explain the day and night phenomena, the seasons, the change of the seasons. One more thing Prabhupada said, I forgot. Three things any cosmology model should be able to explain. So from the perspective of Earth, we will say revolution, rotation, but this is from the perspective of the sun. The sun is moving. How the two correlate is an interesting subject matter. एवं ततो वरुणिं सौम्यम् ऐन्द्रिं च पुनाश तथान्ये च गृहासो मदयो नक्षत्रे सहज्योतिश्चक्रे समान युध्यन्ति सहवानिं वसन्ति. From the residence of Yamaraj, the sun travels to Nimlochani, the residence of Varuna, from there to Vibhavari, the residence of moon god, and from there again to the residence of Indra. In a similar way, the moon, along with other stars and planets, in a similar way, the moon is visible in the celestial sphere, then sets and again becomes invisible. In Bhagavad Gita 10.21, Lord Krishna says, Nakshatra namaham shashi, of all the stars I am the moon. This indicates that the moon is similar to other stars. The Vedic literature informs us that within this universe there is one sun which is moving. The Western theory that all the luminaries of the sky are different suns is not confirmed in the Vedic literature. So all the luminaries are not suns. There is only one sun in the universe. So the moon is similar to other stars. Yeah. Nor can we assume that these luminaries are the suns of other universes, because each universe is covered by layers of material elements, and therefore all the universes are clustered together. We cannot see one universe to another, from one universe. In other words, whatever we see is within one universe. In each universe there is Lord Brahma and there are other demigods on other planets, but there is only one sun. So the moon is a star. Yeah, and from modern geographical understanding also we say moon is a star. Moon is not a luminary. It reflects the light of the sun. But the idea which is spoken is that okay, stars are luminaries, which is not supported in the Vedas. Stars cannot be luminaries.
हमने गलत पढ़ा है अष्टमी की चंद्रमा का और सूर्य से प्रकाश मिलता है लेकिन पौर्णमी लगे थे चंद्रमा के बाद अपना प्रकाश है उसी से रात्रि के समय वो फल सब्जियों को रस प्रदान करते
No, that Prabhupada explained a little before that the moon. Uh, no, probably it's different entities what are being referred to.
हैं बट स्पिरिचुअल तो ये कह रहे हैं मून वैल्यू तो और
Yeah, but here moon is one of the stars.
मून के बाद अपना है शाइन
The stars are not luminaries.
ये बात ठीक है
Nakshatra naam aham shashi. Of the stars, I am the moon.
तो लोग ये कह रहे हैं
The moon is similar to other stars.
जैसे चंद्रमा का अपना प्रकाश नहीं है प्रकाश मिलता है
So then this moon and that moon are seem to be another two different entities. Stars are not luminaries. Modern day cosmology says they are luminaries, but Vedas Prabhupada clearly writing, this universe there is only one sun which is moving. There are very few luminaries in the universe. So
but they don't take moon as star that's
they don't take moon as star. They take it as satellite. They call it as satellite, natural satellite. But here moon is taken as a star. Nakshatra naam. So this moon and the luminary moon might be two different entities.
where they are landing might be
But this moon is the star. Nakshatra namam Shashi. So what Shashi? With Prabhupada explained, we read that Kushagra's philosophy, that how Kushagra's light can be very cooling. The moon planet is having that cooling influence. It's a light source, and so then it is there also. It was mentioned there are very few luminaries in the universe. Sun is a luminary definitely, but what does it mean then? Nakshatra nam aham shashi. So if moon is a luminary, then how it is a star also? So is there any correlation? Is it no, two different entities which are being described by the same name? Or is the Kushagra's no, light which the moon is radiating has some correlation or derivation also from the sunlight? So probably it's Kushagra's plus reflection of sunlight and a combination of that which is being coming, and that is why it is being categorized as a star also. That is something that's an interesting another subject matter to ponder about. You know? Huh? It is telling the sun god is running around the Manasutra, doing parikrama of the Manasutra. Yeah, so those are that is what the reference pointer is given to these four residences. So that's about, and when the other motion was being talked about, now this motion, now this is only a result which is presented. Now whether this motion is, I mean the whole thing has a contribution only from the motion of the sun, only from the motion of earth, or a combination of the motion of both, that is something to ponder about. I mean those details are not mentioned. That one may have to, no, that at max one may have to do some inferencing. So yes. Okay, so let's stop here for today. We'll continue again with the movements of the sun in our next class. Very well.